What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. Happy 2022. We are starting a new year off the right way by looking at our markets, identifying potential big picture opportunities for turning points and breakouts and reversals. If you're new to the video, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. Want to use the comment section today. Down in the comment section down below, just do me something simple. Just say Happy New Year. That's it. Not a lot to it. And what are your New Year's goals for trading? I think that'd be great to hear. Is what are your goals for New Year's as we head into 2022, and what do you want to see happen with the market? So, all right, let's go ahead and dive right in with our major market. So, starting with our S&P. Now, looking here at the S&P, we can see that the S&P on our 4-hour chart is a bit of a sideways slop fest, a little bit of sideways mess. Where we're looking for a potential breakout above the all-time high. Now, that breakout's going to have to be accompanied with some basing. I'm going to want to see some basing accompany that breakout in order for price to truly get us a nice pop above. I don't know that we're going to that we're going to get that this morning in the way that we normally like to see it, but that's still about 11 points away before the breakout would occur, and we're already up 31 points on the day. So that would put us up a heck of a lot to get a good clean breakout, but that would be the best trade setup that we have. Now, below that, we have a couple of areas of demand down here that are worth considering. This little rally-based rally with a little bit of sideways price action here before a strong move away is probably the best level there at 47.26. But our sideways price action means that we got to be a little bit patient and just wait for the markets to come to our levels, either the breakout or the reversal down inside of this zone. Either one of those, I think, would be an okay area and an okay opportunity to get in on those positions. Now, the Nasdaq, looking at the Nasdaq's a slightly different picture, and because the Nasdaq, looking at this on a daily chart, it looks like we're putting in a little bit of a bull flag pattern. A strong move up, a little bit of the flag coming back down. So typically, that's a 50% measured move of this entire length. So you would anticipate that price could rally somewhere up into about this range here. If we were to take an actual 50% retracement of that move, we would look at that as being right about here, right about 16,906 would be about a 50% retracement of this move up and rest. As that's really what price looks like it's doing. Now, our 4-hour chart, uniquely enough, is in a downtrend, right? It's in a downtrend, whereas the S&P is in a sideways trend. But when I went a little bit, zoomed in a little bit and looked on the hourly chart at quality levels of supply, there were not a lot of great levels that told me to sell short on that downtrend. As a matter of fact, I was actually setting up an alert to get long if we break outside of this trend channel. So that would be the next level to look at inside of the Nasdaq, would be a breakout above this this trend channel level. Inside of the Russell 2000, not a whole lot to look at here. It's very sideways. Now, the Dow Jones, I will say last night we did look at a potential long, and unfortunately the level gave us a bit of a stop out before working. Price came into the level right in here. And we were hoping to get at least a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 trade out of this thing. But if you look at this, one of our very strict rules is the 6-candle rule, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later, price had gone nowhere. And so if price goes nowhere within 6 candles, what does that mean you should typically do? It means you should close that thing out at a break even. Or if you've got a small loss, take the small loss, because eventually, look at what happened. We do come down and we get stopped out. Now, price does wind up eventually hitting both of our targets, but there was really no real reason to stay in this position much longer than that 6-candle rule dictated. Now, looking at this from a bigger picture perspective, we've got a breakout trade above the, right near this all-time high, where if we get a bit of basing, that could certainly still work as a breakout. But I think if you're going to take the breakout trade, the better one to use is the Nasdaq. I would think that right now, neither the Russell or the Dow Jones are giving us very clean opportunities to buy or to sell short. your better opportunities are going to come from your S&P as well as your Nasdaq markets. Now, sliding over, I want to take a look. We're going to take a look at a few different markets today than we have been, changing the format just a little bit by adding a couple of markets. Crude oil is really not giving us a whole heck of a lot either. It looks a little bit like like the Nasdaq and the S&P in that it's chopping around a bit sideways. Now, I will say this is that crude oil did look like we had a bit of a rollover. We've got an OPEC meeting coming up. Let's see if that causes a bit of a bounce. But as it stands right now, I don't have anything to lean on one way or the other until I get down to like 73.85 or up here at about $78 a barrel. That would be where I'm going to start paying more attention for tradable opportunities. But in this realm, there's really not a whole lot. Now, if you notice, all last week we stayed very range bound. And so let's look and see if we trade into one of these areas tomorrow. Gold, looking at gold, we see that gold popped down into an hourly level of demand. So this is the level that we were looking at last night in the live trade room. So if you happen to be awake for an entry on this thing, you are sitting at 4 candles in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles in, and we've kind of gone a bit of nowhere. If you didn't take the trade, I wouldn't take it now. Reason being, right in here, we had a bit of basing before price met the level. And for those of you that are regular viewers, you know that basing is the kiss of death, right? Kiss of death before a level would be what we would look at when we talk about basing. So I would not look to get long until price would bounce out of here with some strength, and that would mean a basing above this 1833 for a potential breakout. Right now, though, that level here, while it worked out for a little bit of a bounce, if you're still in it, one more candlestick is going to cause you to take your stop and move it to break even. All right. Natural gas, we've filled the gap in nat gas. So the nat gas gap has been filled. And we actually looked at this on the 15-minute time period where we wrapped our lines around here, but we're basing right here in front of the level. So it's not as clean as a setup. And knowing that today is a bit of a federal bank holiday, the markets are open, but it's a federal bank holiday. So we may see a little bit of this sideways chop today, maybe a little bit of a difficult day to identify really good setups and really good trades. A couple of other things worth looking at that I want to just kind of point out for today. We had looked at this level here in the euro last night. So the euro also very similar to what we saw with a really decent level of demand, right? Price moved down to this area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later, we hadn't quite been stopped out because your stop out's got to be somewhere down below this candlestick here. But we hadn't really gone much of anywhere either. So, looking at this on a bigger picture, the 4-hour chart tells me that we're kind of going sideways, right? And so we do have a little bit of price action, but not enough for us to really get any movement out of that trade. If you are a bit more aggressive, you actually have a nice wick over wick that's appearing right up here. So if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you may get a little 2-to-1 out of there for an intraday trade. But just know that anything you take in this environment, because our 4-hour trend is kind of sideways, is going to be slightly lower probability, right? So while that does exist, it's a slightly lower probability entry and a slightly lower probability setup. Let me see. I'm going to look at my other markets and see if anything is coming really into play. The New Zealand dollar and the Aussie, we were taking a look at some breakouts. Price didn't come into that breakout region. In the New Zealand dollar, we actually broke down a bit below what was essentially a bit of an ascending triangle pattern. So nothing really giving us an entry in either one of those markets at this point. I do want to take a look, and we're gonna start to take a look at our crypto futures. And so crypto futures, we've got Bitcoin and Ethereum. The micros are up here at the top, and then the full-size contracts are down here at the bottom. When I look at futures, how do I know a futures contract is worth trading? Well, the way you know that a futures contract is worth trading, in my mind, is to go to a 5-minute chart. Now, Chuck, I thought you said you don't trade on 5-minute charts, and I don't. But what I'm looking for are how many gaps do we see? So I'm still seeing a fair amount of gaps on the 5-minute chart. And so for overnight trading, this one does not qualify from a volume perspective. But I'm going to go back a couple of, before the holiday. You're seeing that the gaps are less and less frequent on this micro Bitcoin futures contract. Now, this is not really a day trading vehicle, but it is a way for people that are futures traders to want to get involved with Bitcoin because it doesn't have the same, gigantic leverage or gigantic margin requirements as the actual BTC futures themselves. So micro Bitcoin is a way to get involved. There is also a micro Ethereum futures, micro Ether futures ticker symbol MET would be the way to go. So looking at Bitcoin futures, starting with a daily chart, we are right now fairly sideways with not a whole lot of directional bias in there. Moving to the 4-hour, we're actually sitting above what looks to be a pretty good breakout trade. But let's talk a little bit about that breakout trade because you're going to have a lot of traders that buy that are selling right below this line here for the breakdown. But the other thing to consider is that you have a really, really nice trap level sitting just below. So a nice trap level sitting just below this rally base, very nice move away back from early October, could be an opportunity for people to get back involved at this price. Now, I've heard from a number of people that anywhere below 50,000 is considered a value in Bitcoin. And so, I'm looking just at the technicals, right? I'm not looking at what they consider their fundamental values. But this would be you're going to get a lot of sellers below this line. This line being a traditional line of support that could be a good buying area in here. Now, what does that mean for the short term? Well, for the short term, that means that you've got an intraday trade as a breakdown below here to take that trade down to this 44.007. What about on the smaller time frame? Well, if you wanted to get short on the small time frame, you've got a really decent supply level up in here, right around 51,000. And you've got a decent supply level right here, just above 48,000. So you do have a couple of areas of supply and a couple of levels that I think are going to be worth looking at. Now, moving over, taking a quick look at Ether futures. So once again, Ether futures do not have as much liquidity. These are actually a brand new futures product. They just started trading the first week of December, and so not a lot of liquidity on here. But once again, I want to start taking a look at these things because we are seeing a much larger mass market acceptance of these products, and these products will gain in liquidity very quickly, and so we want to be trading those. Now, for those of you that just trade Bitcoins themselves, these can make for a really good opportunity for you to utilize some technical analysis in order to stage potential turning points for these cryptocurrencies. So that's the micro Ethereum futures. I'm going to go look at the big contract though to give us a better picture because I've got a lot more history with the big contract. So Ethereum sitting right below 4,000. Looking here at the daily chart, we can see that we've got lower swing lows, lower swing highs. Our trend is clearly down on this position. However, that trend is down with a falling wedge, and a falling wedge pattern is actually a bullish setup. And so with that being said, I would look to see, all right, are these supply levels that we have above me going to hold? Now, I do have a couple of good supply levels above me, most notably this one right here being the best one, I think, on the whole chart, right there around 4,100. We are sitting below this one right here. Now, this one exists because of this long lower wick down. We then rally back up and then have a decent sell-off, but we're basing in front of that level. So in my mind, this one would be a confirmation. And certainly the level up above here would be a limit entry. Now, if those levels are broken, then I think you've shown that our falling wedge has come true, and we're going to continue more of a bullish move higher, and that would make it opportunity for a longer-term investor to get in and to play those. So you can play the futures contracts if you so choose. on there. Now, a lot of you are trading crypto by itself and not just utilizing the crypto futures. Well, we are just starting this week at tradersarmy.com. We had our first crypto class last month. Starting Wednesday the 5th is our first Crypto Pro trading room. So Herman Casas is running our Crypto Pro trading room. So if you're interested in learning a bit more about that, go to tradersarmy.com, and we would love to have you learn a little bit more about what it is that we do. And then you can see exactly what we look at and what we trade. But that's all I have for today, everybody. Hope you guys have a phenomenal day. I will talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.